Today, we're talking about something that 1 in 3 adults experience in their lifetimes. We're talking 48% of the US population, they have experienced this at a higher level this year than even last year. Today, we are digging into anxiety. If this is something you experience on a regular basis, whether we're talking about your book or maybe your job or maybe your family, let's get into it today. And please chime in the comments with this. Let me know what your solutions have been that you've discovered organically, or maybe things that you've researched and are experimenting with in your life. But today I want to talk about anxiety and some tools you can use immediately in your life, right after this pod or even while you're listening to it, to counter it so you can regulate. Because, of course, when you're tense, you're anxious, it's much harder to think straight, it's much harder to make decisions, and it does economically impact you. And as of this recording, we cannot afford to have that happen. Pun very much intended. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm Melissa T, the procrastination bully. Welcome to another episode of The Activated Author. You might be wondering, okay, what does anxiety have to do with being an author? I've got a personal story to share with you to that end. But let's get into today's episode, okay? So, you heard the statistic I just mentioned to you. 1 in 3 people will develop anxiety in their lifetime. Of course, this study is relating to the US population, but that's pretty stark. 1 in 3 people? That's intense. And I can speak from personal experience. I dealt with anxiety during those 9 years that I worked in the news media industry, because the job I had as a reporter, I was going all over the place, and the work that we were doing was very reactive. Yes, there were proactive elements to it, but it was very reactive. Perhaps you work in a job that's like that as well. You more so respond to the environment around you, or the work that you do requires you to respond to the environment around you more so than being proactive and getting out ahead of a thing, right? Now, anxiety is a precursor to things that are much worse, including health issues. And I can tell you from personal experience, given the chronic stress that I had put my body under, it did cause several health issues. And let me share with you some powerful statistics with that. In one study, 40% of heart attack patients showed elevated anxiety symptoms within 2 years. Okay, post heart attack patients. And anxiety was associated with a more than 50% increased risk of major adverse cardiac events. Okay, so anxiety and chronic stress, put those two together, they they put a strain on your heart in addition to other key systems that we have in our bodies. Chronic stress and anxiety impair immune function and produce an inflammatory response, increasing the risk of infections, metabolic disease, and even cancer. Here's another thing. Chronic anxiety is linked to a range of health issues, including, of course, we just mentioned a weakened immune system, but even digestive disorders, we just mentioned cardiovascular problems, and also musculoskeletal pain from chronic muscle tension. That's one we might not even think about. If you ever find yourself seated and realize too late that you're really tight, like your gut's been in a knot for the last 10 to 15 minutes, that is an entire thing. That ties directly to chronic stress and anxiety. Your body is responding to whatever the stimulus or stimuli, plural, are around you, or the way that you're thinking about a thing. So I wanted to lay that groundwork, but let's get into some of these actionable tools that you can use so that you can reset your body and get it to a point where you can regulate and be more productive. In the context of writing a book, you can get more content on the pages. Because if you're wondering, well, what does anxiety have to do with writing a book? When you're writing a book based on your past trauma or a major life transition, revisiting that memory can generate anxiety. because to your body, you're experiencing the thing all over again. Your body doesn't know the difference between what's happening in real time and a memory or a thought. The body's just going to respond. So here are some tools that I want to share with you that can help you reset. If you've been rocking with the show for a while, I covered this many episodes ago, several seasons ago. But for those finding me for the very first time, welcome. Let's get into these tools. Number one, physical contact with yourself. This looks weird, it feels cheesy, but I promise you, hugging yourself makes a world of difference when you're aware enough to know that you are feeling anxious, when you feel your stomach muscles tighten, when you find yourself not properly breathing, you're more shallow breathing. You're not breathing from the diaphragm, you're more breathing from your chest. Doing something as simple as this, hugging yourself, makes a world of difference because it still causes the body to release the oxytocin as if someone else was hugging you, as if someone you love was hugging you. Your body doesn't care that you're hugging yourself. It's receiving a hug, which tells the nervous system, oh, I'm safe. I'm in the presence of someone I trust. Let me calm down. So that's one tool. Simple enough, it works. And do it for about 10 seconds. Don't just do a quick thing like this. Hold it for a few seconds. Okay. Now, would it be more ideal to hug another person? Absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason I mentioned the 10-second number is that when you hug another person for 10 to 20 seconds, you actually feel each other's heartbeats, and the heart actually radiates electromagnetic energy. And so both of you radiate energy to each other. You feel each other's energy, and it really helps you feel safer. The oxytocin releases, and you feel so much better. But for yourself, hold yourself for them 10 seconds. And then this leads me to number two, talk to yourself. We've been clowned and joked on, most of our lives in terms of talking to ourselves. But there is power in speaking over yourself, speaking to yourself, as long as the words are fruitful. Last week, I talked about my coach, Mignon Francois' new book, Speak Like Every Word Counts. Every word absolutely does count. What you say to yourself is paramount because you more readily believe what you say about yourself than what you hear others say about you. So that's number two. Don't be ashamed to talk to yourself if you have to. Do it in a bathroom, do it in your room, do it in your car. If you're by yourself in your car, do it in the car. Words are containers for power, as Dr. Joyce Meyer always says. Words are containers for power. I can get into the spiritual part of that, but I'll refrain from doing that for right now. But the point is, words carry intention as well. And when we speak words with emotion connected to them, they seep deeper into our soul. They seep deeper into our brain. They're more likely to change our behavior. This is the difference between simply speaking affirmations every day and what Tony Robbins calls incantations. Affirmations are us just repeating a sentence or a few words over and over again throughout the day. The reason incantations stick, while sometimes you'll try affirmations and they don't stick, is that incantations are those same words with emotion connected to them. The emotion is the bond. That is what makes it stick. So in that moment, you're already anxious. So your emotions are already running high. So in that moment, use that second tool to talk to yourself and name what it is you're feeling. So this is number three. A lot of these are interconnected. Name what it is that you're feeling. Is it that you're afraid of failure? Is it that you're afraid of judgment? Maybe you're about to do something that you're concerned of other people's opinions of you. In the context of writing, many of my author clients are usually concerned about other people's opinions of their book once it comes out. Or in terms of the fear of failure, they're like, what if the book flops? So name what that fear is. Get specific about it. And then here's something that you can remind yourself. Remind yourself that you are not under physical threat. Remind yourself that you are physically safe. Because remember, the brain doesn't know the difference between a physical threat against your life and you simply being worried about a thing. The brain is interpreting it as equal danger and wants to keep you safe. So just remember that. So in that moment, when you're feeling the anxiety, your heart rate's elevated, your temperature's up, you're breathing shallow, hold yourself and speak and remind yourself. Call your own name, like, hey, you're okay. You are safe and okay. You're not under physical threat. Your body is safe. You will be all right. And then name the fear or whatever the source of anxiety is. Maybe the source of anxiety isn't a fear. Maybe the source of anxiety is your sheer annoyance at your coworker. And maybe working around them is toxic for you. Name that thing. Call it out. And then remind yourself of your worth too. Remind yourself, you know what? You are stronger than this feeling that you're having right now. Yes, this person gets on your nerves, but you are stronger than anything that they're going to throw at you. You are smarter than whatever they're saying about you. Because maybe that person gets on your nerves because they talk trash. Or you can say, if this is the kind of workplace you have, I do have options. There's somebody I can go talk to about this person. I can explore my options of moving around, like physically switching locations, or get up and get away from them if that context applies. If you sit next to them on a job, do the physical thing that I'm talking about. Hug yourself, whisper if you need to, if you're in a cubicle or something, and assure yourself that you are not under physical threat. You are safe. And here's the thing, if you are in a situation where you are under physical threat, do me a favor. If you still have access to the internet, if you're watching this, Google different ways of subtly sending signals for help so that other people beyond you can help you and get you out of that situation. Because if you're under physical threat, then obviously your safety is at risk. And we want to make sure you're not stuck in that. But speaking to anxiety on non-violent threats, mental stress, I mentioned hugging yourself. I mentioned speaking over yourself. I mentioned naming the fear and what it is. The reminder that you're not under physical threat. And then I'm alluding to it now with the idea that you have other options. But yes, remind yourself that you do have options and go over what those solutions are with yourself in the moment. Once you name your fear, then you can know what the solutions are that are available to you. Name those solutions. Okay? And if this sounds a bit nebulous, I got you. I have a precise example. I have been in the process of launching the Pain to Prose playbook. Now, as I mentioned in some of my other videos, the publishing industry has changed quite a bit, and there are some things I'm adjusting to tech-wise on the back end that I am also learning and experimenting with myself. And some of those technicalities are getting in the way a bit. I'm encountering some tech challenges while launching the book on publishing platforms. Independently, the book is available at this point. You can go to paintoprose.com and order your digital version. I'm encountering some challenges with the paperback version, and I want to make sure that that's available to you. And won't lie to you, anxiety paid me a visit this week. Everything I just named for you is exactly what I did when I encountered it. First, I became self-aware enough to realize I was having a physiological response. I felt my stomach tighten. I felt the muscles around my abdomen tighten. And I was like, wait. What is this? There shouldn't be anything that I'm stressed about. This is going to now bring in an asterisk. If you're a person of faith, here's the other bonus thing to do, which is speak to your higher power or listen for what your higher power can tell you. I'm a Christian, so I'm listening to Jesus. I'm listening to the Holy Spirit, right? The Holy Spirit intimates to me this anxiety is coming from the book that I'm working on. I was like, oh, okay. So then, now that I have that named, I went into steps 2, 3, and 4, and 5. The first thing, I stopped what I was doing. I had just gotten off of a Zoom call. I stopped what I was doing and I hugged myself. Now, in my case, I didn't even time it because for steps 2, 3, 4, and 5, that involves talking. I held myself the entire time I was talking. And then I also alternated, this is number 6, with rubbing my chest. Because rubbing your chest has the exact same physiological effect as this. It's the same. Your body still releases oxytocin. It still has that feeling of being hugged. I did both. I hugged myself and I rubbed my chest while I was talking. And I said, Melissa, like I said with you, name yourself, call your own name. I said, Melissa, you are okay. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not under physical threat. You are safe. You are loved. You are brilliant. You are okay. There's nothing wrong with you. It's all right. Then I went into naming what the anxiety was, what the source of anxiety was. And I said, you don't have to fear failure of this book because the people who need it will find it and buy it. You are doing this from a place of service. And remember your own words. When you do things from a place of service, failure doesn't apply because you have good intentions and you're operating in a place of excellence. Failure does not apply here. So do not worry about this book failing. It will succeed because the people who need it will get it. And you have already seen examples of success through your coaching methods, which is in this book. So the people who have benefited from your author activation weekend, the people who have benefited from your Truth to Transformation Book Bootcamp, and even your free workshops when you offered them, they now have rough drafts done. What you have in this book is real and true. It will succeed. And then the next thing I touched on with myself, the next source of anxiety that I made sure to name was, do not fear the financial part either. Your needs are already met and are always met. And these are things I'm recommending you speak over yourself too, because one of the highest sources of anxiety, particularly for folks in the US, is financial anxiety or job stress. There's a whole statistic on that. So one of the key things I was able to lean on was my faith and say, I will be provided for and I am always provided for. So once you remind yourself of the actuality of a situation, it comes back down to size. Because anxiety sometimes stems from a perception of what's going on that is skewed, even if only slightly. And the longer a thing lives in our head, the bigger it gets until we either say it out loud or write it down. Okay? So another tool for anxiety, number 7, write it down. You'll hear me beat this drum all the time on this show. It's not the first time. If you've been rocking with me, you already know. This is something I talk about a lot. Lock your feelings into the pages. And yes, I do mean handwrite. I don't mean type. Handwrite. The right and left brain are simultaneously engaged when we handwrite, which is why things stick. That's why we remember things more clearly when we take notes. Okay? So handwrite. Lock your feelings into the pages. So I named what my fears were, what my anxieties were, and then I spoke the solutions. I am provided for and always will be. That handled the financial issue. I am working from a place of excellence, so this book cannot fail. It will not fail. That addressed the fear of failure. And the statement that the people who need the book will find it, that addressed any fear of judgment that I might have. Like, what if people think I'm an imposter? Or what if people think I don't know what I'm talking about? The people who need to find the book will find it. And receipts. I've helped people in the past become authors, and everything that I used in the past to help them become authors is contained within this book. That is a real world example of what I just shared with you in those 7 steps or those 7 tools. Okay? Hug yourself and don't be ashamed to do it in a bathroom, in your car, in your cubicle for a few. Pause and hug yourself and focus on how the hug feels and take slow, deep breaths. This is number 8 now. Box breathing works wonders. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds. So that's the box. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, inhale for 4 seconds. You see it? So box breathing, it slows down your heart rate. It brings in more oxygen into your body, because when you're doing deep breaths, you're using your diaphragm, not your chest. That makes a world of difference. The vagus nerve is one of the most crucial nerves in our body. That is a direct line to our nervous system. And when we breathe full deep breaths, it helps our vagus nerve. That message is you're safe, you're okay, you are not under physical threat. And another one of those things I talked about was you are loved. That is something that I love to hear. I'm somebody that values words of affirmation. That's one of my love languages. And sometimes when you're in a place of anxiety, it could be from that need for validation. It could be that you feel unappreciated on the job. It could be that you feel unappreciated as a parent, despite all of the things that you're doing, all of the responsibilities you're handling. Maybe you feel, unfortunately, unappreciated as a partner. If you need to, be your own source of validation. Because, like I said, we sooner believe what we hear ourselves say about ourselves than what we hear other people say about us. So you tell yourself you are loved, you are valued, you are blessed. Okay? So, hugging yourself, speaking to and over yourself, naming the source of anxiety, naming how you feel in the moment, making sure, let yourself know that you are safe and okay, you have no physical threat, and then using the tool of writing things down. If you have that available to you, whether you keep a pad and pen in the car or a post-it note on the job, you at the desk, and you might just have to use up some post-its and write down how you feel. Something like that. But locking your feelings on the pages, or first thing in the morning before you leave the house, and definitely at night before bed. By all means, lock your feelings from the day into those pages. That way you're not going to bed juggling a bunch of stuff. It helps your mind shut down so you can finally sleep. Because the goal is to get the anxiety out of your body, and words are a powerful way to do that. Spoken and written, words are a powerful way to do that. The bonus step that I mentioned is, if you are a person of faith, pray. Like, speak to your higher power and listen for what your higher power tells you. I follow the creator, so I hear from him all the time. And he was the one that enlightened me to what my anxiety was. So I was able to take these actionable steps, use these tools. They're quick, they're easy, and most importantly, they are free. Can we talk about free? especially in these United States as of this recording. Okay, we need as many resources as we can get our hands on. And the beautiful thing about these is that they're all easy, they're all free, and they're all quick. They don't take long to do. Writing your feelings on the page might take a bit because you're expressing yourself, you're unloading onto the page. But the rest of them, they're brief. The other one I mentioned earlier was rubbing your chest. That's one of the other tools you can use because it has the same physiological effect as this. Okay? Now, if you are so fortunate and you live with folks who love you, hug one of them. Grab them and hold them for about 12 to 20 seconds. They might be like, you okay? Like, what's going on? You can just tell them, I love you so much. If you're not comfortable telling them why you're hugging them for so long, just tell them that, like, you love them so much and you appreciate them. They'll appreciate hearing that. So it's a double benefit. Okay? This was a simple episode. Wanted to cover these tools of anxiety with you because this is something that is prevalent in the US, and the fact that we have such dramatic health outcomes with it is heartbreaking because some of these dramatic health outcomes are preventable. They're avoidable. But if we're constantly in just the movement of all of the things, we're constantly working, we're constantly going from appointment to appointment, commitment to commitment, and we don't slow down enough to remember ourselves, then yes, the neglect compounds into something far worse. In a couple of my recent shorts, I've been quoting Lisa A. Smith. She says something that's beautiful. There is no honor in self-neglect. None whatsoever. And that neglect compounds into those health challenges, the heart disease, the autoimmune response, autoimmune disease, the inflammation. All of that is preventable. Develop that self-awareness to pay attention to your body. Check in with yourself very often. How am I feeling right now? Are my muscles tight? Did my body temperature go up? Did my breathing get shallow? Why am I feeling like this? Did someone say something that offended me or that I found offensive? Did someone say something that is true that I'm embarrassed about? Is there a sudden risk of a loss? The loss of something I want, the loss of finances? Is this a fear of judgment? Is this a fear of failure? Is this a fear of rejection? What is the source of this? Let me name it. And then use your tools. Okay? Replay this one as many times as you need to. Take all the notes that you need and share this with your people. Share this with as many people as you know in your network. Because if you're in the US like me, you're likely experiencing some flavor of anxiety. The statistics say 1 in 3. That's insane. And not all anxiety is clinical. In fact, most of us experience acute stress or acute anxiety, things that can be handled in the moment, which is why the self-awareness is so important. It's better to catch the anxiety in the moment while it's happening and then counter it with these tools that I've shared. So share this with your people. If you haven't yet, subscribe on YouTube at Activated Author. You can follow me on Instagram and Threads at Activated Author as well for all things personal development, authorship, and self-publishing. In the meantime and between time, I will catch you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern for the virtual launch party of the Pain to Prose playbook. So even if we still, we're still going through the tech challenges for the paperback, the launch party is still happening because the book is technically out in digital form. So we're going to be celebrating. Some of my friends are coming, folks who have encountered the training that's in the book and have seen the results for themselves. If you want to join in, if you've been hearing about this and you want in as well, by all means, join me Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern on YouTube at Activated Author, on LinkedIn, Melissa Thomas. Just look for Melissa Thomas with 2 L's and 2 S's in Melissa, or on Instagram at Activated Author over there as well. So join me for that live stream Thursday. In the meantime, in between time, I release you to the rest of your Wednesday. I hope it is wonderful and productive. And I pray you have a great and productive rest of your week as well. Peace.